Here's the story from Sky News. President Joe Biden cuts press conference short as White House confirms Iran actively facilitating some attacks on U.S. military bases in Iraq and Syria. I just love the language, how it's so like passive and confused. Iran actively facilitating some attacks. Okay, look, is Iran attacking the U.S. or not? I think the issue is they want to seed the information. This is how it usually happens. They want to gear us up for the moment when they announce troops are going to be deployed specifically to fight with Iran. We've already seen members of Congress say they're drafting an authorization for use of military force against Iran and their proxies, whatever proxies means. And it seems like this is going to bubble up to World War III. On Twitter, World War III is trending. Here's the clip. I want to play this clip for you. It's quite simple. It's only a few seconds long. And when Malcolm Flex has it, Biden cuts his speech short as the attacks are happening. Can't confirm if it's casual or not. Here we go. We got the sound right?
I apologize. I have to go to the situation room with another issue that I have to deal with. But thank you.
So that's it. It's rather uneventful, other than to say, in the middle of a press conference, he announced he was going to have to go to the Situation Room because we've got this report. Malcolm Flex is tweeting, groups with ties to the Iranian militias claim they've attacked with rockets 3 bases in northeast Syria, Al-Omar, Al-Tanaf, and Al-Shaddadi. Could be a tell as far as where Iran and probably Iran-loyal militant states in the area stand. Okay, well, I hope you're all ready for World War III. And how you doing?
I learned that if you have taken antidepressant or anti-anxiety medication in the last over the last 12 months or for a cumulative 36 months in the last couple of years, you can't be drafted. So I think a lot of women are not going to be drafted as we head into World War III. So
and
men, I hope you're ready. Gen Z especially.
Nah, there's so much. Big Pharma's going to save the day, right?
Well, it is our great hope and savior. What would we do without Big Pharma?
That's really interesting because women don't get drafted anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Women don't have to register for selective service.
No, they don't.
Only if you're a man who's dressed like a woman, then you have to register for selective service.
They haven't gotten around that loophole yet, which is kind of funny.
Well, because Biden there was a report last year that the Biden administration was saying that trans women do have to register for selective service.
So all you draft dodgers that are buying skirts right now, don't worry, it's not going to work.
Yeah, just get on the SSRIs instead.
Well, it's funny because there was this poll that came out about the Israel-Palestine conflict, and I guess 18 to 24 overwhelmingly are in favor of Palestine and Hamas. And I say and Hamas because I am not trying to say they're the same thing. I'm actually drawing the distinction. Many of these leftists are cheering on Hamas explicitly. That's what I'm trying to point out. And it's because of that the U.S. is getting its ever so desperate casus belli for Iran. The U.S. military-industrial complex, deep state, whatever, has wanted war with Iran the entire time I've been alive. All right. And so now, because of this fight, Hamas going into Israel, killing all these civilians, Israel's released footage. It's horrifying footage, man. Some of it's only been described. Some of it, there is video they released. I watched some of it. It's crazy. And now, this is the funny thing the U.S. likes to do. Hamas attacks Israel. And so all of a sudden they're like, you mean Iran? We have to go to war with Iran? Like, no, we're talking about Hamas. You mean, so Iran? We're invading Iran? All right, let's send the troops to Iran. It's like, okay, what? Okay, I guess. But now they're basically saying that all of this is actually Iran. Iran's the one funding it. Iran's the one planning it. And it's like, okay, well, then fine. I guess we're going to World War III.
Well, Iran was reported by the Wall Street Journal to have been in a meeting with Hamas and Hezbollah just the Monday before the attack, saying that it was reported that Iran greenlit the attack at that point, and then Iran denied it later. But Iran has been backing Hamas for a very long time. Iran has been backing Hamas since Israel kicked out a bunch of terrorists and sent them to Lebanon, where they got trained by Hezbollah and the the Iranian Guard? What are they called? I forget. But the IGF.
The IGF, yeah.
The IGF. And they were getting trained. So Hamas got trained by Hezbollah and the IGF in Lebanon before they became Hamas in the late 80s.
This would mean that Russia should be declaring war on the United States explicitly.
Perhaps.
Ukrainian forces are funded, armored, trained by U.S. and EU forces. And if the argument from the United States is that we have to go to war with Iran because they've trained Hamas, then Russia would need to declare war on the United States. right? This argument is, have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, it's the U.S.'s own version of it's okay when we do it. I mean,
Right, exactly.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I think part of it is that we always knew there was a very slim chance that this wouldn't expand regionally, that other countries nearby would get involved. And I think you're right with this headline. They're trying to sort of preemptively set up the argument for why America needs to get involved in this war, which I just don't think is necessarily the best case scenario for anyone. And I understand that we have allies, we have relationships diplomatic with Israel and everyone else in the region. On the other hand, we create all of these problems and then we say, oh, well, don't worry, we'll come fix it. I don't know.
Preston, did you do anything exciting when you were in the Army?
No, I didn't. Right when I joined, really, the COVID pandemic hit and they enforced the COVID vaccine, and that's kind of why I'm out now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So no, I didn't get to do much.
What was your what was your role? What was your job?
88 Mike. I was actually gonna do green to gold, where I could enlist to become a JAG officer. That's what the whole plan was until it got kind of sidestepped by the vaccine.
Oh, wow. Well, here we are. I wonder, that's actually a really interesting point you bring up, because we're talking about the draft too, but how many good men and women in uniform left over the COVID vaccination? And the bigger picture, how depleted or how far behind are we in terms of recruitment goals, not just because of the vaccine, but because of wokeness and politics in general? I guess the conspiracy theory is the reason the U.S. is allowing all these people to cross the border into the country is that they're going to offer them up citizenship to be frontline infantry or something, which, I don't know if that's effective, but I do kind of know anybody who's played any one of these strategy video games like World of Warcraft or StarCraft or whatever, you just mass produced the lowest quality fighter and just nonstop send them wave after wave after your enemies, you win. So like, you can have all the nukes, all the jets, all the satellites you want, but if your ground army is bigger, you win. Right. And, your willingness to sacrifice them. But in that capacity, the U.S. has technology, but they don't have people.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't. And the thing about military recruitment goals is that we've been behind for a long time. So there are people who left, like you're saying, because of the COVID vaccine. There are now also people who will not enlist because of the COVID vaccine. And so on top of the issues that we're already having with a population that is not qualified to be a part of the military, those who are willing to enlist and who will enlist it's just this extremely small margin. I don't like the idea that we would just be like, oh, well, you came here illegally, but to give you citizenship, we'll let you enlist in the Army. I think that's not a logical justification. But if you're about to say things are very desperate, we need boots on the ground, you're sort of creating a worst case scenario and then delivering this solution that is imperfect in and of itself.
Well, that's kind of the strategy they use, like recruiters use to bring people into the military. I know my recruiters at least it's kind of like a running joke on TikTok too, where people will go to like a Home Depot and pick up illegals to join the military, and they'll offer them, citizenship, so they'll join. But just in my personal experience, all of the good folks, all the people who, were meant to be in the military, there wasn't a lot of them left. And I know that during my basic training in AIT, which is like advanced training for your job, we had people, the treatment of people and their standards was unbelievable. Women were, like we had some people in there that were like 5'2", couldn't carry the load for themselves. We would go on ruck marches that were really 12 miles long, and they would end up falling out, and they would get put in a truck and get driven back, or they couldn't shoot what you were supposed to shoot, what the standard was, and they would pass them anyway.
Why would they pass them anyway?
Because they have to fill these spots.
Yep.
I mean,
Are they
this
just
is the
creating
other thing,
cannon fodder, basically?
This is the other thing that's happening, is that recruitment, all of the numbers are actually off. From what I know from people who are enlisted right now, is that they are using, shifting data to pad their numbers because they are so far behind in recruitment goals. I mean, it's not good, but once you get into the Army, they need to keep you there.
So what I've heard from a lot of people, and this goes back well before the culture war stuff, that in basic training, the men, like the clothes they give you, what are the PTs? Is that what they're called? Filthy and dirty as you're like crawling through the mud. You don't wash them. You take them off. You wake up. You eat as fast as you can. You get back to it. The women would cry, complain, sit down, refuse to walk any further because it hurts too much, and then be told, "Don't worry, it's fine." Like you mentioned, get truck to drive them the rest of the way. They couldn't carry anything. They were mandated to be able to get showers and clean clothes every day.
Yeah.
And the argument was medical. Right. Women have medical reasons where they're required to have clean clothes, and so the men are being like thrown into the muck and told, figure it out, and the women are being given this like hospital 4-star treatment.
These are all
relatively.
reasons that I never would have joined the military.
Well, and they also
I like showers and clean clothes.
No, you get them. Women get them. Men don't.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
They got complacent with like the low standards. A lot of the girls, and they would literally walk the 2-mile runs.
Well,
Like-
what I was told is that if they tell the women you can't have a shower, it's discrimination based on sex because women have special needs, and so they have to get showers. And
then they shouldn't be allowed to join the military.
right.
But if you look
and if they hold the women at the same standards as the men, well, that's sexist because men and women are different. Even though now the argument is that men and women aren't different.
If you look at the, is it the Bostock decision? If you look at the Bostock decision, it's sexual discrimination to not give the men showers,
Yeah.
but to
It
give
would
the
be.
women showers.
It would be.
That would be that's discriminatory.
Well, the point is, whenever
Everybody gets showers on the battlefield. Come on, Tim.
anything that doesn't benefit the left is discrimination until it benefits them. Then it's balanced. So like, if you say, they'll come out and they'll say men and women are the same, therefore trans people should be in women's sports, everyone should be equal, and then you go, okay, military training, equality. That's not fair. Men and women are different. Women can't carry as much as men, so they get special treatment. It's like, wait, you just men and women weren't different. I just saying they're different. So the issue is the left simultaneously argues both positions. This is why I often say there's no morality on the left.
There is none, yeah.
The left does not have a moral position. They have a give me power.
Yeah.
So in the military, women don't run. Not all of them, some women do.
Most.
But right. So this is an interesting point about where we're currently at in recruitment goals. It's probably worse than we realize. The military is probably just a whole bunch of like 22-year-old women with 2 moms.
Yeah.
I think it's
That's
not good.
in their advertising.
That's the joke.
They'll throw a bonus at you, $20,000 to join, but their standards are ridiculous. And I even had a girl in front of me on one march specifically, and she was crying because the load was too much for her to carry. She was, again, like 5'2". So I tried to like lift her rucksack up with my hands the whole way there, but it's like you can't have that kind of like situation on the battlefield, And so I just think it's kind of sad that that's where we've gotten to as a country.
I've
Oh,
heard
man.
arguments before that they need to revisit some of their standards, like this thing about anxiety medication, right? Like if you've taken anxiety medication during these parameters, you're disqualified from military service. So it means that some people just don't report it, or I've heard a lot of special forces people say, I just lied. I lied my way through it because I wanted really badly to make it, and I am qualified other than these sort of rules they felt were arbitrary. But in some cases, the idea of being battle ready is very important. And I think we saw this with, letting women in the military, the physical standard at which they are expected to meet has to be lowered because women are different biologically and physiologically than men. And so ultimately, in pursuit of what we think is best at home, are we actually putting people in foreign fields in a battle ready situation where the people around them can protect them? I just don't think so.
Well, and also that shouldn't really be what's going on in a battlefield. Everyone should be there to do their best and not need to be protected by their peers. The other thing, though, is like,
I think it's normal to have people looking out for each other.
yeah,
When they're
you look
fighting.
out for each other, but like you can't look out for someone who can't look out for you.
Yeah,
True.
for sure.
Like if the 5'2" woman who can't carry her own pack, like how's she going to look after Preston?
She's not. That's
She's
the
not.
problem.
So you're not allowed to have taken SSRIs and anxiety medication for a certain period of time, but you are allowed to be taking cross-sex hormones.
No. No, they give you the cross-sex hormone.
Oh, they give you
Free.
those.
Of course.
Right.
That's the benefit
Covered.
of signing up.
Okay.
That's like your rations.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.